Hi guys, it's me ChazzaHD and welcome to the first content to do with the 2019 Spanish Grand Prix on the channel this weekend. And it is of course the Practice 2 watch-along from the Circuit de Catalunya 4. Of course, again, the Spanish Grand Prix. Great to see you guys here in the chat and watching, no matter if you're watching live or after the stream has finished. Great to see you all here, no matter where you are in the world. Hopefully you're having a very good Friday. I am myself, and I cannot wait to see in Practice 2 if some of the team's upgrades have actually worked for certain teams and whether they can, say, fight more than they did 2 weeks ago in Baku. I'm very interested to see how certain teams do in Practice 2. I don't think we'll get a full idea of how people are, but I think we'll definitely get a small idea as to if certain teams have improved. So we'll definitely see that in Practice 2. But again, great to see you guys here, and hopefully you will enjoy Practice 2 along with us today. But before I go on to previewing the teams and talking about how I think they should do this weekend, let me first take you through the results of Practice 1, which, if you didn't know, took place about 2 to 3 hours ago. So let me now take you through the results. So Valtteri Bottas was fastest, from Sebastian Vettel second, Charles Leclerc was third, Lewis Hamilton was fourth, Romain Grosjean was fifth, Carlos Sainz was sixth, K-Mag was P7, Gasly P8, Kvyat P9, and Nico Hülkenberg in P10. And then the bottom 10 is Ricciardo, Verstappen. I'll get on to why Verstappen was only P12 in a minute. Stroll 13th, Giovinazzi 14th, Albon 15th, Norris 16th, Perez 17th, Raikkonen 18th, and of course the two Williamses at the back. But now let's start previewing how I think the teams are going to perform this weekend and how I expect them to do in the practice session coming up in about just under 30 minutes time. So start off with Mercedes. I think they will have the best car at this track this weekend. I'm not surprised that Bottas was fastest in Practice 1 because I just think they're going to, in terms of results, dominate this weekend. I don't think pace-wise they're going to be absolutely miles ahead. But again, when it comes to results, I expect this team to be 1-2 in qualifying and the Grand Prix. And in practice, I think we could see Mercedes be 1-2 once again, because I think they're so good right now, so quick, and I just don't see how anyone can really stop them. I cannot see it. So I think they will be very strong and expect them to have the best car grip-wise in Practice 2. Next up is Ferrari. Now, I just want to get on to Ferrari and have a mini rant about Ferrari. Pace-wise, I'll discuss the pace of the car and how I expect it to be first. They won't be bad when it comes to the pace of their car, but I don't think they'll have the best car. I think that will go to Mercedes, as I've just said. They won't be too far off, but they won't be close enough to actually compete and go for the win and get the win. But the reason I want to have a bit of a rant at Ferrari is because they have brought forward an engine upgrade for their power unit. Now, you could say, oh, that's fantastic. They can use that power to their advantage in the next two races before Mercedes and Honda get their upgrades for the power unit at Canada. This is why it's so dumb what Ferrari has done. Not because they'll incur penalties later in the season. No, not because of that. It's because they have brought an upgraded engine forward 2 races when the next 2 races are tracks where you don't need the power. You don't need to be good in a straight line at this track and at Monaco. The next 2 race tracks are about grip, not power. That is why this makes, for me, no sense, because that's not the upgrade you need when it comes, again, to Spain and Monaco. You need aerodynamic and chassis upgrades. You don't need power upgrades. the reason the teams tend to bring their first proper upgrade when it comes to the power unit to Canada, the reason they do that is because that's the first race where you can start using the second round of power units without incurring penalties later on in the season. But also because Canada is a power track, and it's great to test out at that track whether your upgraded power unit is working. But because Ferrari have gone and done what they've done, by the time we get to Canada, they'll have an engine that is 2 races old, and when Mercedes and Honda, for their respective teams and their works teams and whatever, bring their new power units, they'll be a lot fresher, and they might even be more powerful because they have more time to work on theirs compared to Ferrari. Now, I know Honda brought, they did actually, didn't they? Honda brought an upgrade to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, I'm just remembering. But when it comes to, say, Mercedes are not going to risk incurring penalties later on in the season. That's why they wait until race number 7. But Ferrari have brought it forward 2 races, and the next 2 races are tracks where you don't need power to be, properly good around those tracks. This to me screams of desperation. This screams of panic. And it really shows why Ferrari shouldn't be winning races and why they aren't winning races, because as a team, they're shambolic. They at times don't know what they're doing. So, that's my thoughts on their power unit upgrade. Yes, again, it'll give them extra power, but these tracks don't require good straight line speed. So I do not understand why Ferrari have honestly gone and done that, but that's the way Ferrari is. Next up is Red Bull. Red Bull have brought plenty of upgrades for this Grand Prix. For this Grand Prix, I expect Red Bull to be closer to the top in terms of lap time, not in terms of position. I think when it comes to, say, qualifying speed, I think they'll be probably 3rd row. But race pace from Red Bull should be, if they can get the tyres working, it should be really, really good. So hopefully for them it is, so they can bring their car forward in terms of speed, because I think they need to, because I think they can be performing a little better than they have been so far this season. Max Verstappen, for example, I think has got the absolute best and more out of the Red Bull car. So I think Red Bull can definitely do better, and I think they're hoping that their upgrades for this Grand Prix and from this Grand Prix on can really bring them forward in a way that they can consistently go for the podium and it not seem to be, a massive stretch for them to do so. So hopefully those upgrades do work. And, well, normally for Red Bull they do work, so I think Red Bull will be in the hunt for a podium on Sunday. But in practice, I'm expecting them to be at best around 4th and 5th place. Now let's go on to the midfield. Renault have to have a good Spanish Grand Prix this weekend. They have to, because they are P7 in the Constructors. They've just come off a terrible weekend in Baku. They've had a terrible start to the season, in my opinion. They have to respond at this Grand Prix, because if they don't, I think they are in for a disastrous 2019 in terms of where they should be and where they expected to be by this point in the season. So they've got to have, pace-wise, a similar weekend to what they had in Shanghai. They have to have the best car in the midfield. They have to. They're a works team, plenty of money, plenty of resources, 2 very good drivers. They've got to start producing it now consistently from now on, because, again, if they don't, 2019 will be a disaster. I think pace-wise at this track, they should be very competitive inside the top 10. Whether they'll be at the front of the midfield, I don't know. But I think they should be right in the top 10 with other teams such as, in terms of qualifying pace, teams like Haas, teams like that. So they should be good this weekend, but as we've seen with Renault in 2019, they tend to disappoint, whether it comes to pace or reliability, quite a lot. Next up, McLaren. McLaren have brought plenty of new upgrades for this Grand Prix, and they are hoping it will bring them even more forward in that midfield battle. They are P4 on the Constructors right now, only by 1 point ahead of Racing Point. But they can definitely, McLaren, improve that car going forward, because even though at Bahrain and Baku they were quick, in Shanghai and Australia their car was not so quick. So they have had, I would say, an inconsistent start to this season. Can definitely do better, I think, McLaren. And I think this weekend they will have a moderately good weekend. I think they will probably be getting one car into the top 10 and then another car, say, just outside the top 10. At best, they could get both cars in the top 10, but I don't think it'll be a strong fourth row lockout or anything like that. So I think McLaren will be all right this weekend. Nothing special. I think in the race they'll get a points finish, but again, it won't be anything special like Bahrain or Baku in terms of pace and result. Next up, Alfa Romeo. This is also a bit of a big race for Alfa, because in terms of the result of the last Grand Prix, it was not what Alfa were hoping for. Just 1 point took from Baku when they were hoping, I think, for maybe 7 or 8 points at least, considering the way that track is with their car. So I think Alfa also for this race, they do need to absolutely go out there and get a good result, because they're also a team that does have more money than other teams in that midfield battle and more resources and, a very good driver in Kimi Räikkönen. So they really should respond this weekend. When it comes to, say, qualifying pace, which we'll see very soon at the Circuit de Catalunya in just under 20 minutes. In terms of qualifying pace, I don't think they're going to be that great, but I think race pace-wise, the Alfa car will be good. I think they can be a top 10 car when it comes to race pace, but when it comes to qualifying pace, I'm not too sure about that car. Hopefully it's good, but you never know. But kind of like Renault, they do need to respond at this Grand Prix compared to the result they got 2 weeks ago in Baku. Now let's go on to Haas. Haas, last 3 races have been terrible, absolutely terrible, and according, I think, to Romain Grosjean, they have basically brought a B-spec car to this Grand Prix, and hopefully it does work for them, because 3 pointless races in a row is not good enough for a team that after Australia was looking like a very good pick for P4 in the Constructors by the end of 2019. So yeah, they've got to improve. They've really got to improve now, because if they continue at this Grand Prix to suffer from the issues they have been suffering from, which are tyre related, then I don't think their chances of P4 are that good at all, and I don't think they really have any chance of P4 in the Constructors. So yeah, Haas have got to have a good Grand Prix this weekend. I think in terms of qualifying speed, they'll be good. I think they'll have good pace, but when it comes to race pace, I'm not expecting anything from this team, because when it comes to race pace, they tend to be absolutely terrible. Next up, Toro Rosso. Toro Rosso, normally at this track, tend to have good races. Last year, they didn't score any points, but if you look at the races before that, in 2017, 2016, 2015, 2013, they scored points here and looked very, very strong. I mean, in 2015, they locked out the 3rd row, even though they did have 2 drivers at the time who were very, very good. But yeah, pace-wise, I think they'll be good here, because again, normally they are good here. Whether they'll be able to be, say, a consistent top 10 runner, I don't know, because Toro Rosso have been a bit weird this season. Sometimes they're in the top 10, sometimes they're not. Sometimes when they're in the top 10, they're there when you're not expecting them to be there. And when they're not expected to be in the top 10, when they are expected to be in the top 10, they don't tend to be. So they're a bit of a weird commodity, Toro Rosso. I think they should be quick enough for a top 10 with one car. But they're a bit of an up and down team, so don't expect Toro Rosso to absolutely go out there and get into the top 10 because they are a weird team at times. Next up is Racing Point, who are currently sitting in P5 in the Constructors and are looking very good after the first 4 races of the season, where they've scored points in every Grand Prix so far. But when coming to this track, I think Racing Point, they're not going to have that great of a Grand Prix, to be honest, because if you look at the history of this track with them, normally, on a consistent basis, they don't tend to be that great. And also, because their car was a bit underdeveloped in the first 4 races, because they brought plenty of new stuff to this Grand Prix, it's going to be a bit like Melbourne for them, this race, because they're going to have to be learning certain parts of their car. So they will not be, absolutely no way they're going to be as quick as they were in Baku. Absolutely no chance are they going to be that quick. So yeah, I think Racing Point will drop back. I don't think they'll drop back massively. I don't think they'll be, say, the slowest team in the midfield. But I don't see them in terms of qualifying speed being a top 10 runner. I just don't see it. I think Haas, Renault, McLaren, Toro Rosso and Alpha just to me look stronger when it comes to that certain department. But when it comes to the race pace, I think they will be good as always. And finally is Williams, who have brought, quote, an exciting upgrade to this Grand Prix, but I don't think it will really work out that much. They're going to be at the back, let's be honest. But now we've previewed all the teams and how we think they're going to do in practice 2 and do this weekend. Let me know right now, guys, in the live chat, who do you think, team-wise, will be good and not so good this weekend? Do you think Mercedes will have the best car? Do you think Ferrari can finally, for the first time since Bahrain, take the fight to Mercedes? Who do you think will have the best car in the midfield? Who in the midfield will struggle? Who will do better than we think will? Let me know right now in the live chat, and I'll get to reading as many comments as I can for the next 10 minutes or so, as we are about 13 minutes away from the start of practice 2. But I just want to say, guys, don't forget to subscribe for more content like this, because I will be doing plenty more content to do with the Spanish Grand Prix this weekend. Tomorrow, qualifying watch-along and qualifying review. And then on Sunday will be the race watch-along and race review. And then an incident analysis on Monday of any incidents which take place during the Spanish Grand Prix. So don't forget to subscribe for that content. Either bottom right of the screen, you can do it right there. Or click on my channel name, go to the homepage, subscribe, and hit the notifications bell for more content like this. But before I read your comments, guys, I just want to take a quick drink so my throat doesn't die, because I think you can hear it a couple times that my throat is not exactly in great condition, as always. So let me just take a quick drink, and then I'll get to reading your comments in just a moment. Right. Now, let's see what you guys have to say in the live chat. I'll read out as many comments as I can. Yeah, for the next 12 minutes or so. So let me try and find the start of these comments. Michael Arvin says, so you ready to admit I was correct? Ferrari should have dropped Seb and kept Kimi. Seb can't handle it. I honestly, mate, I can't remember if you made that comment or not, because I get so many comments. I can't remember that many comments from that many people. So if you did make that comment, then there you go. I'm not going to say that yet, because Sebastian Vettel so far this season has been better than Charles Leclerc, so I can't say that. I can't say that. I think we're going to have to wait a few more races to say whether Seb should have been dropped, but Sebastian Vettel has been better than Charles Leclerc so far in 2019. The only weekend where Leclerc for me was better in terms of overall driving skill, consistency, all of that, was Bahrain. The other 3 races, Vettel was better in those certain weekends. Astro Stevo says or asks, any hopes of rain? No, there's not going to be any rain. I've already checked the forecast. No rain for this weekend. Let me quickly show that from Jordi, who asks, how, let me find it. Says, how would Ferrari F up this weekend? Oh, don't worry, they'll find a way. They'll find a way. Even if they surprise us and get pole position, during the 66 laps, they will find a way to mess it up, because they always do. And that's why a win for Ferrari is such a difficult thing to see, because they invent new ways of blowing races and bottling it. Right, let me read out some more comments here. Georges, is Leclerc faster than Vettel? I think Leclerc is faster than Vettel, but so far this season, I think Sebastian has been better because he's been more consistent and has been only slightly faster at certain races. But I think if you look at Bahrain and Baku, Charles was comfortably faster, but then when Vettel was faster, it wasn't by as much. So I think in terms of pure pace, Leclerc is faster, but I think Vettel has been better this season so far. Because, by the way, he has been better at 3 of the 4 races. It's pretty simple. Jordi, and yeah, I forgot to mention this. Red Bull had an oil leak with Max Verstappen from the power unit this morning. That's why he only finished up in P12. Just thought I should let you guys know that, even though I did forget. Here you go. Here's another picture of Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes, who is currently 1 point behind Valtteri Bottas in the Drivers' World Championship. And no, Astro Stevo, there will not be drizzle at all. No rain forecast. Prussia. Can't wait for the Mercedes 1-2. Love the pessimism. Haas will improve, McLaren will drop off. Astro Stevo says, hope Renault improves and are good this week. Maybe Ferrari could do a Bahrain here and surprise us. They didn't really surprise us though in Bahrain, if that's what you're going for there. Bahrain, they were expected to be good, and they were. They had the best car, but yeah, since then they've really, really disappointed, have Ferrari. Let me just see some more comments here. Georges, are Ferrari still credible competitors? It depends what you mean by credible. If you're talking pace-wise, then yes. They're not, again, this is the thing people forget, is they're not miles off. They're not half a second, 0.7 of a second a lap slower. They're about 1/4 of a second off. That can be closed. That can absolutely be closed. And even if you qualify 1/4 of a second behind, if you have good race pace, you can still overturn that on race day. So they are credible, but they're just not doing what is required to win a race. They don't have enough pace, and the team and drivers as a combination just cannot consistently put that whole weekend together to go and get the win. It's as simple as that, really. Steve says it's going to be interesting to see how Racing Point fares this weekend. Am I right in thinking they've got one of the bigger budgets? Not necessarily. They've got, say, maybe a bigger budget than, say, Haas, Williams, maybe McLaren, because Lawrence Stroll, you have to remember, does have a lot of money. But when it comes to Renault, no. Renault have more money because they're a massive, massive company that deals not only in Formula One, but also the, car industry and stuff like that. So They do compared to certain teams, but compared to Renault, I don't think so. Hello to Sebastian, who says, I'm in Barcelona right now, going to qualifying and the race. No rain will be hitting. It's so hot. Yeah, I went to testing in, what was it? Late February, early March. And it was so hot then. So hot then. And I'm from England, so obviously when it's hot in Spain, I'm going to struggle with that heat. But yeah, I can only imagine what it's like out there right now, because it was very hot in testing compared to, say, other countries like the UK and even France. But now, because the humidity will be higher, especially at night, I can guarantee you it's going to be very, very hot out there. I'll move on to this picture, as, guys, we are 5 minutes away from the start of practice 2. So get ready for the start of practice 2 in just a moment. I'll get the running order and stuff like that booted up. By the way, if you're wondering why that thing in the top left says FP2 has not started yet, that is so, you know, when people join the stream, they know what's going on. They don't think, oh, has it started? Is it, you know, has it not started? It's just, you know, clarification. I will actually, I'll change that in a moment to FP2 has started once it actually does in about 4 minutes time. Yeah, keep your comments coming in the live chat, and I'll read out some more before practice 2 gets underway. Let me just actually read out a couple more comments before I move on to getting some pictures from Twitter to put on the screen for you guys of what is going on live at the track. So hold on a minute, let me just get my Twitter right. There you go. Sebastian says, I think Vettel will have a chance of winning this week. It'll be closer than expected. I think your optimism is a bit too high, because Ferrari have had better chances at other races and have bottled it. So yeah, I don't think Ferrari have a strong chance of winning this Grand Prix. They have a chance, but not a strong chance. Jordi says, I really think that Mercedes do have an advantage now power unit wise, since they are only engine manufacturer that hasn't released Spec 2 yet. From that point of view, yes, because the chances of them incurring penalties now go down by them waiting until Canada, where you can now, within the rules, without incurring penalties later on, you can make new, you know, or can bring new stuff to your power unit, gearbox, all of that stuff. So yeah, from that standpoint, yes, but you have to remember still, Ferrari do have more power than the Mercedes power unit. That's absolutely clear to see. So yeah, I understand your point, but I think Mercedes can still improve. Again, when it comes to outright power, because they have been overtook when it's come to that in the last year and a half. Prussia says your optimism is misplaced, F1 fan. Yeah, I think if you're a Ferrari fan, you should go into this weekend just hoping for the best. Don't think, you know, Ferrari are going to be able to compete for the win, because realistically, that is not going to happen. So yeah, if you're a Ferrari fan coming into this weekend, don't expect that much, because I just don't see how they can. With the way that team is right now, the way they operate and the way the car is, I just don't see how Ferrari can win the Grand Prix this weekend. Prussia says, let's hope for third place. That's about winning this season. VJ says, I think Williams will catch up with lower midfield by end of season. I disagree, because the only way they can do that is if they bring an upgrade that is massive and puts them in that area that you're saying. But the only way you can do that is if you have the money and resources to do so, and Williams don't. They don't have the money to go and bring that massive upgrade that puts them back in the fight in the lower midfield. So I don't think that will happen. I just don't think it will. But let me now quickly get this going. By the way, this running order, this is the running order of the race in Azerbaijan at the moment where my stream got copyrighted. So that's the running order. I'm going to leave, as it is until we get some proper times on the board, as practice 2 is now underway, and the first car on track is going to be Kevin Magnussen. Let me just quickly change that to FP2 has started. So if you're just joining us, practice 2 is underway in Catalonia. Let me just quickly post a picture of the man who was fastest in practice 1 and someone who I'm expecting to be very quick this weekend. I think coming into the weekend, I predicted that Valtteri would not win this weekend, but I think he will be strong nonetheless. Let me just quickly put him on the screen. As we've got Romain Grosjean on track. Here comes, I believe that is Max Verstappen. Is it? Yeah, it is. Max Verstappen is now on track. Let me just quickly put this picture on the screen, guys. Hold on a minute. Here you go. This is the man who was fastest in practice 1. And the man who I think is going to be very, very quick this weekend. But I'll now try to see if I can find a different picture. And here you go. This is a good picture of the scenery of the track. Now, as I've said before, I did go to this track earlier this year for testing. It's a nice track to visit. It might not be on the calendar for much longer. It's probably not going to be on the calendar for 2020. But if testing does remain there, I do recommend you going because it's a nice track to visit. Plenty of places to sit. And I think it's a good track to visit. And also the prices are not that high compared to other racetracks. So if you ever do consider going and you're close enough to go, then go because it's a good track to go to. But yeah, Magnussen, Grosjean, Verstappen and Russell are now on track. And I believe Verstappen has come out on track early because he did have an oil leak in at the end of practice 1 and he now comes back in. So that's just an installation to make sure certain parts on his power unit are working. So good to see that Verstappen is up and running again, and hopefully no more issues happen for Max this weekend. Now we've got Alexander Albon on track in the Toro Rosso. So only 4 cars on track right now. By the way, the running order running along the bottom of your screen is not the current live order because we haven't had any times on the board yet because there's only 5 cars on track and we are about 3.5 minutes in to practice 2, as I think Kevin Magnussen just set the first lap time of the practice session. So he is of course fastest. Here is Kevin Magnussen in the Haas. And he will be hoping for a much better weekend overall than he had in Baku. In Baku, he was basically non-existent. So he'll be hoping for something to actually, brag about this weekend. Because again, they were terrible as a team Haas back in Baku. As, who's that coming out on track? It is the Kimster, Kimi Räikkönen, enters the circuit. So Kimi Räikkönen now is on track. Here is a Toro Rosso of both Toro Rossos are on track, but I don't know which one this is. It is Alexander Albon who now goes on to a lap. Does he? No, he's I think doing some kind of installation test on the hard compound tyres. As now Daniel Ricciardo goes out on track as Albon goes down into turn 1. Again, he's on the hard compound tyres. There's not going to be that much grip from that set of tyres. But I will say, when it comes to race day, I think the hard tyres will be used by the teams because this track kills tyres. And because of the heat and humidity, the harder tyre you go for in the race will be the better tyre. So I think the hard tyres will get plenty of work on Sunday from maybe all of the teams if they don't go for a 2-stop and try to do a 1-stop. And Albon is on a lap. It's not going to be a quick one. He is through the middle sector. Yeah, 1.1 seconds down on Kevin Magnussen, who has done the fastest time so far, a 1:20.1, which is very, very slow compared to this morning. But this is only the start of practice 2. As Albon now comes through that left-right chicane and now comes to the final corner and will go slowly into second, 1.2 seconds down. As now we have Sebastian Vettel and Nico Hülkenberg on the track, as there was a minute ago, or a second ago rather. A yellow flag. I don't know what for. I think it was in the middle sector, but Vettel and Hülkenberg in the Ferrari and Renault respectively are on track. Here's Kevin Magnussen on the medium compound tyres, which to me look like they're scrubbed for this run. Here comes Magnussen, opens DRS. He will go massively faster, yet goes to a 19.4. Kvyat is currently second, Albon is third, Grosjean is fourth, Russell is fifth. Everyone else has not set a lap time. That's why I have not yet updated the running order, and I won't until we get 20 times on the board. Here comes Sebastian Vettel on his first flying lap of practice 2. Passes the slowing Haas car on the inside. Even though I don't think Vettel will be pushing that hard, he should go faster than Magnussen has gone so far. Sebastian did a 18.0 this morning on the soft compound tyres. So Vettel won't be going amazingly quick, but should go faster than Magnussen's 19.4. As Kimi Räikkönen has done a lap time, but it's 13.5 seconds down on Kevin Magnussen's time. Here comes Sebastian Vettel then into the final sector. Ferrari car. This is the thing with the Ferrari, and I said this after the first couple races and also testing. It's not the best car, but it's not a bad car. It does look like a good car, but it just isn't as good as the Mercedes car. As he now comes up to the line and does go fastest on a 1:18.9. So, yeah, good to see that from a Ferrari point of view. We also have Hülkenberg on a lap. Grosjean has just gone up to P4. Ricciardo's gone P5. Hülkenberg is on a lap. Charles Leclerc's on an outlap, and so is, I believe, Sergio Perez, as Romain Grosjean went straight on at turn 7, I believe. Went to turn in. Car wouldn't allow him to, and went onto the gravel and came back on the track. Here is Charles Leclerc on the hard compound tyres as Kimi Räikkönen goes up to P4. Sergio Perez, Antonio Giovinazzi and Robert Kubica are on an outlap. As Leclerc 0.03 of a second down after the first sector. And Leclerc now turning through what was that? Turn 6, I believe. Now comes up to 7 and 8. Car looks, again, it's a good looking car, just not amazing or not, say, good enough to be as quick as the Mercedes car. As on the hard compound tyres, he is currently 0.3 of a second down on Sebastian Vettel through the middle sector. As now Leclerc goes a bit wide there on the exit of that corner and now comes through the Mickey Mouse section around the back. Left-right chicane, does that absolutely fine. Comes through the final corner as Kevin Magnussen goes fastest on a 1:18.8. And Charles Leclerc goes up to P4 on the hard compound tyres. So there you go. That's the situation right now. As we have a yellow flag in Sector 3. Who is that for? We don't know as of yet. That's Louis Camilleri. And it's the two Williamses going very slowly, both of them, back into the pit lane. I assume the Williams that's in front has had some kind of issue in the final sector. And let's see. So Robert Kubica here, I assume, is on an outlap, ready to do a quick lap. And then... oh, how embarrassing for Robert. He goes to put the power down out of the penultimate corner, and the car spins around, hits the cone on the inside of the pit lane, and he decides to go down the pit lane to avoid further embarrassment. That is embarrassing for him. But I'll quickly put this picture up of the Red Bull of Pierre Gasly from earlier, spinning up those rears. A nice shot. As Vettel on the medium tyres is currently going faster than he was previously. Comes through the penultimate corner, now comes through the last corner, and Vettel goes fastest by 1/10 of a second from Kevin Magnussen. Jordi just said in the chat, and by the way, hello to Ultraman and Nib also. Jordi just said, and it's a good point because I'm noticing it already, that the Ferrari car, if you look at it visually in Sector 3, doesn't look that good. It looks quite pedestrian, bit stubborn on the front end. It doesn't look that great, I'll be honest. As who's this on a lap? Oh, it's Robert Kubica has come back out on a set of soft tyres. We still don't have a lap time from Max Verstappen, Robert Kubica, Lando Norris, Carlos Sainz, Pierre Gasly, Lance Stroll, and the two Mercedes drivers of Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas. Norris, though, has just gone up to P13, but it's only a 27.1, so that's a terrible time. Yellow flag in Sector 2, I don't know what for as of yet, but it's now gone green, so probably someone going wide slightly at one corner, maybe the Haas again of Romain Grosjean, as Carlos Sainz comes back into the pits. But you have to say, it's been a very slow start to practice too. Very slow start. None of the teams are really, going out there and pumping in the lap times. As annoyingly, we have gone to a commercial break on Sky F1. So as they do that, I'm just going to quickly update the running order as to what it is right now. Even though when it comes back from commercial, it will probably be wrong, but I'll do it now anyway. So far, you got Vettel fastest from Kevin Magnussen in second. Danny Kvyat is third and not on track. So maybe it was a soft tyre run, I don't know. Charles Leclerc fourth. Fifth is Daniel Ricciardo, and then sixth is Romain Grosjean in the Haas F1 car. In P7 is Kimi Raikkonen. In P8 is Alexander Albon in the other Toro Rosso. Ninth is Russell in the Williams. That might, though, be on a set of soft tyres. I'm expecting, by the way, this weekend for the soft tyres to be very, very quick compared to the medium and the hard. Hulkenberg is P10. P11 is Perez. P12 is Antonio Giovinazzi. 13th is Lando Norris. And then everyone from 14th down has not yet set a lap time as of yet. So Verstappen, Kubica, even though when we come back from commercial he probably would have set a lap time. Sainz is 16th, and then you got Gasly Stroll, who crashed, by the way, in practice 1 at the end of the session, so he might not be coming out for quite a bit of time. And then the 2 Mercedes at the back. So that's the running order so far in practice 2. A slow start, you have to say, to practice 2. Very slow start. Hopefully things will liven up in a minute, because we want to see some action, and we want to see also proof that practice should not go away, because I've seen plenty of people saying, and I'll just quickly actually post a picture of Romain Grosjean going into the gravel that time at turn 8. But there's been plenty of people saying, oh, practice should be scrapped and all of that stuff. Well, as you saw in Baku, even though most of the time it does work, scrapping practice doesn't always lead to a great race. Look at Baku. The race was a meh kind of race, and we didn't have practice 1. So I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think it is. Because the public that comes to the track want to see the cars on track. And if you take away more action on track for the spectators at the circuit, then the spectator experience for people is going to be worse, not better. Yes, for TV it'll be better, but you can't be selfish in that way. You can't be. You've got to think of everyone when it comes to that. And I think keeping it, maybe not as it is, but not getting rid of practice for me is the solution. I think, honestly, we should have more sessions during the weekend than less, because I honestly think more cars on track will build the hype better, not less cars on track. But the order is now different at the Circuit de Catalunya. I'll update it in a moment, as Pierre Gasly has just gone up to P3. So let me quickly update that, as that's a replay there of Antonio Giovinazzi going a bit wide on exit of turn 9, I believe that is. But let me now do the running order. So Kvyat is P5. Then you got Ricciardo, Raikkonen, Grosjean in P8, and then Albon in P9, I believe. Yes, it is. Albon P9, and then Norris, then Giovinazzi, and then Russell and Perez in 13th and 14th, as we're getting a replay here of Lance Stroll, I believe, crashing in practice 1. Yes, this is Lance Stroll. Did the same thing Brendan Hartley did in FP3 in 2018, and the same thing Pierre Gasly did in testing. Touched the grass on the outside and met his fate. But yeah, Perez is 14th, and then Kubica 15th, and then it is Verstappen 16th, and then you've got Carlos Sainz in 17th. So that's the current live order from Catalonia. Dexter Hall, hey Chaz, what did I miss? You haven't really missed anything. Practice 2 has been underway for about 20 minutes, but there hasn't really been anything to talk about except a couple drivers going a bit off-piste. But yeah, no one's really out there pushing. Ricciardo's now on a lap on the medium compound tyres, and it looks like he is pushing quite hard. But yeah, you haven't really missed anything so far. I think give it another 20 minutes and we'll see some proper lap times on the soft compound tyre. They want to save those tyres, by the way, because this track kills tyres, and they want to have as many sets of tyres as they can for the race in case they need to do more than one pit stop. Let me just see the chat right now, as Ricciardo is not on particularly that quick of a lap. Steve Googles asks, did Renault BS Ricciardo into moving to them with false promises? I'm not going to really answer that right now, because I still think we need to wait with this whole, has Ricciardo made the right decision? Because 4 or 5 races in, that's still too early to really determine whether it has been a mistake or not. So let's wait. As Ricciardo does not improve on that set of medium tyres, stays in P6. Me Too on Tube says, I still don't get why Red Bull let Daniel Ricciardo go, as Valtteri Bottas getting a bit sideways on the exit, the penultimate corner. In regards to that, look, at the end of the day, Red Bull would have loved to have kept Daniel Ricciardo, as Valtteri Bottas now goes fastest. They would have loved to have kept him. But if you have an employee at your company or team, no matter what it is in the world, if you have an employee that doesn't want to be there, you can't keep him there, because you have to have people working at your team that want to work for you. Simple as. If Daniel Ricciardo doesn't want to be at a team, that team should let him go. Simple. Because keeping someone around who doesn't want to be there will not work out. There's a lot of rare cases where it does work out, but most of the time, keeping someone at a company where they don't want to be does not work. As Carlos Sainz on the hard compound tyres is about to set his first lap time of practice 2 at his home track and goes P15, 3 seconds down on the fastest time. Carlos Sainz, of course, at his home track this weekend. By the way, Max Verstappen is now out on track. Back out again after testing out whether his power unit. Oh, Lewis Hamilton on the exit of turn 10, lighting up the rear end, an absolute treat. And that will not keep his tyres in good condition. Dexter Hall asks again, says, hey Chaz, who chooses the tyres for the circuits and how do they choose them? The teams choose the tyres. It's the engineers, basically, based on the information the car has supplied to them through data and stuff like that. They'll then decide what tyres they should go for at a certain track, and also based on the knowledge they'll have of the tyres at a certain point, they will go with a certain compound more so than other, because they think that compound is going to be a better tyre. And I also think they have to select what tyres they're going to use for a certain Grand Prix. I think it's 6 weeks before the race. I think it's 6 weeks. As we're just seeing Martin Brundle looking at the track. Kurt Borman, I think it is, says he has a question concerning the Baku race. Why didn't Leclerc put on another set of mediums when he pitted? Because the team knew the softs weren't doing good. Well, they couldn't put on another set of mediums because he already used a set of medium tyres. In a race, you have to use 2 different types of compound. He, of course, started on the medium, so then you can't, if you're going to go to the end of the race with the least amount of pit stops, you can't then go on another set of the tyres you've just binned. You've got to then go onto a different compound. I think in hindsight, Charles Leclerc should have gone onto the hard tyre, because I think the harder the tyre at Baku, the better your car tended to work. So what they should have done is gone medium to hard in hindsight, but they didn't know that was going to happen. They didn't know the soft tyre would be so poor. But yeah, they couldn't go on to another set of mediums because, well, unless they wanted to commit to a 2-stop, then they could, of course. But if you want to do 1 pit stop, you can't use 2 sets of the same tyre. You've got to use a different compound to what you started on if you want to do 1 pit stop. But let me just quickly put a picture on the screen of Robert Kubica embarrassing himself at the penultimate corner. Here you go, and you can see there on the right, that's the bollard for the entry to the pit lane. So very, very embarrassing there for Robert Kubica, as the embarrassing season continues for Williams. it would be nice if Sky F1 would stop showing Martin Brundle and actually show what the lap times are. But of course, Sky F1 have to show us stuff that we don't really need to see. But right now, now they've gone back to what the times are. So I'll update the running order in a moment because Valtteri Bottas is on a much faster lap. He's done the fastest middle sector. Comes through the left-right chicane. Final corner. Where will Valtteri Bottas go? Probably even faster. And yes, he does. A 1:17.8. The fastest lap time so far this weekend. And he's 3/4 of a second faster than Sebastian Vettel at the moment. A good lap time by Bottas. As Verstappen, I think, is still doing some kind of installation testing with his car, as everyone is in the pits except for the two Mercedes drivers and Max Verstappen. Here's a replay of Lewis Hamilton getting it all wrong, turning into the Mickey Mouse bit and having to go down the old fast right-hander. But now I'll update the running order as to what it is. So Valtteri Bottas is fastest and looking very, very quick. Sebastian Vettel is second. In third place is Max Verstappen in the Honda-powered Red Bull. In fourth is Kevin Magnussen. Lewis Hamilton, I think, is about to complete a lap time, but I don't know where this will go. No, he's starting a lap. So Lewis Hamilton now starts a lap. Gasly is P5. Charles Leclerc is P6. And then in P7. By the way, Lewis Hamilton is on a hard compound of tyre right now. Kvyat is now P7, even though he's just come out onto the track, probably for a qualifying simulation. Ricciardo is 8th. Raikkonen is 9th. 10th is Roman Grosjean, and then you've got Alexander Albon in P11. P12 is, let me just quickly do it, is Carlos Sainz as Lewis Hamilton now comes up to the end of the middle sector. How quick is he compared to his teammate? Only a 10th off on a harder compound of tyres, so looking good for Lewis Hamilton so far, even though his car doesn't look to be that gripped up to the track. Sainz is P12. And then you got Hülkenberg down in P13 as Hamilton now comes up to the final corner. And this will probably put him into second place, I'd imagine. Hamilton, no, only goes 4th. They lost a lot of time in the final sector where the tyres really do get a nice workout. As Bottas went fastest in the first sector, but it's back down the middle, so it must have been a mistake. Norris is not in 14th. Oh, it's because Hamilton's gone up. Let me just quickly update that in a moment. Actually, I'll do it now. So Hamilton now goes up to P4. And then as Bottas is now pitted, he's going to come in, I assume, for a set of soft compound tyres. Let me just quickly do this order. I've had to pause my TV screen. Gasly is P6, and then Leclerc is P7. Danny Kvyat is P8, and then Ricciardo P9. Kimi Raikkonen is in P10. 11th is Roman Grosjean, who can do a lot better than that considering where his teammate is. Albon is P12. 13th is Carlos Sainz. 14th is Nico Hülkenberg. Renault not looking too smart right now, but we'll see in the qualifying simulations how they really are. Norris is 15th, and 16th Antonio Giovinazzi, and then you got Russell, Perez, Kubica, and Stroll. Sebastian Vettel is currently on that qualifying simulation has done the fastest first sector, not the fastest middle sector, but is still quicker than Valtteri Bottas. Let me just quickly finish up this order as Vettel now comes into the final 3 corners. He will go fastest if he doesn't make a mistake. And Leclerc actually just does the fastest middle sector. Here comes Sebastian Vettel and only goes a 1/10.5 faster on the soft compound tyres. That's not too great, I'd have to say, from Sebastian Vettel. As here comes Charles Leclerc. Will he go faster than Vettel? Let's see. He now comes up to the line and does a 1:17. Does a 17.7 and is only, what, 0.03 of a second behind. So very, very close between the two Ferrari drivers. Here comes, I think that's the Haas of Kevin Magnussen. I'm just trying to find a picture quickly of something else to show you guys. Yep, Vettel fastest at the moment from Charles Leclerc, but Mercedes, I have to stress, have not done their soft tyre run as of yet. Yep, Ferrari are currently fastest. I'm just watching Kevin Magnussen's onboard camera at the moment, and he looks pretty quick in the Haas. Haas looking to be a bit good when it comes to qualifying pace around here, but race pace, as we know, for them is not their strong suit, as that's clear blocking by whoever that is in the Ferrari. That was a massive block by Charles Leclerc on the run up to turn 9, and I think he might get called to the stewards on that one, because that is a bit dangerous to be parked in the middle of the road at that corner. Here is a McLaren, Lando Norris, who is currently in P16 on an outlap, about to do a qualifying simulation. Romain Grosjean only 0.3 of a second down on Vettel after the middle sector. Very quick in the Haas there is Grosjean. As he now comes up to the final sector, where you need to have a very good car aerodynamically and chassis-wise. And now comes through to the final corner. And Romain Grosjean will go into P4, and that just shows you the time difference between soft and medium. It's big, very, very big. So there you go. As here's a replay of Kevin Magnussen, and yeah, that's clearly blocking. I mean, maybe Charles was trying to get out of the way, but he was doing it in a very poor way, so I think he might get called to the stewards on that one. But here comes a Renault to do their quali sim. It's Nico Hülkenberg in the Renault, a man that I know in the chat right now has been talked about a lot for some reason. I don't know why, but there you go. But Nico Hülkenberg on the soft tyre, DRS open, coming down to turn 1. Let's see how this Renault is performing. Turns 1, 2 and 3 look absolutely fine to me. Renault car sparking away there. And his first sector already half a second down. That's a lot to be giving away in the first sector. And now is into the middle sector through turn 5 and 6. Now it's coming up to turn 7. And the Renault, big bump on the exit there, but looks fine to me. Turns into turn 9. Renault car running slightly wide, but that's good enough. And now in the middle sector, has lost a further 0.4 of a second to the Ferrari. And now we come into the final sector, where this will really show where the Renault car aerodynamically is. As he comes through the left and the right onto the exit of the penultimate corner. Now through the final corner. And Nico Hülkenberg goes P7. So I think we can see there that definitely the Renault is better in the aerodynamic department than the power unit department. But not as good as Haas, as or Sebastian Vettel getting very wide there, almost going into the gravel. This will be a slower lap time, I think. I don't think Vettel will go faster than he has so far. Here he comes. No, goes slower because he went wide at that corner, which I believe is turn 12, the exit of 12. As Leclerc now comes through into the final corners, 14, 15, 16. Final corner. And where does Charles Leclerc go? He does not go... Does he go fastest? Yes, he does. Charles Leclerc now fastest of all on a 17.5. Just under a tenth faster than his teammate Sebastian Vettel. So, yeah, Vettel making a mistake there, which I think cost him being fastest of all, because Charles actually went slower than he did on his first soft tyre run in the middle sector. As Sergio Perez goes up to P11. And we haven't actually got that many cars out on track, as Mercedes and their engineers are looking at something on their car. I don't know what, but there you go. As we have, by the way, 54 minutes left in practice 2. So we've still got plenty of action to come. And I think we'll definitely get some, or plenty more soft tyre runs. Here's a replay of Vettel. Yeah, just got too wide with his rear tyre and touched the gravel. And that did cost him probably a tenth and a half at most. But as we move on to the second part of practice 2, let me just quickly have a drink and I'll be back in just a moment. Right. So, we can see at the moment Daniel Ricciardo on an outlap, as Sky F1 are having an absolute mare there. But yeah, Daniel Ricciardo is now out on track. Thought I'd let you guys know that, considering you are, big Daniel Ricciardo fans, some of you. As Martin Brundle is now watching the cars at turn 11 and 12. I'm just trying to quickly find a picture of another car for you guys, because I want to post as many pictures as I can. You know what? I'll post this picture of Valtteri Bottas earlier getting into his Mercedes car. But yeah, we're just currently on Sky F1. Annoyingly, not seeing what the lap times are, because Sky F1, honestly, their coverage has gone down so massively. And to be honest, it's not really a surprise, because let's be honest, what they've gone and done is, I'm not saying they're scam artists or anything like that, but basically they've advertised all this great content they're going to have for this year. And then they haven't really produced anything that good on their coverage this year. There's been a couple things, like the Ted Kravitz and James Allison thing from Baku, which was good. But, not having Ted at all the races, kind of falsely advertising Jenson Button. I know he's here this weekend, but they were advertising him being there, quite a lot of the time. He's only been to one race out of the first 5. So, yeah, I'm not really liking the way Sky F1 is doing their coverage. I think it's quite poor, honestly. Hopefully, you're enjoying my coverage of Formula 1. But I just quickly want to post a different picture of Romain Grosjean in the Haas, who is currently, very nicely, in P4. I think, anyway, if they would stop showing Martin Brundle out on track. And also, with this whole Martin Brundle on track thing, I think it has got a bit old. Like, I get it's a great thing, but it's, the bloom is off the rose with this certain feature. I think they should stop doing it, because it's actually getting annoying now. But there you go. That's not Romain Grosjean. That is Kevin Magnussen. But on Haas's Twitter, they said it was Romain Grosjean. So it's bit funny that they don't even know which driver's which. As the 2 Ferraris are now in the pits, by the way. As we're seeing a replay there of Pierre Gasly doing something that I don't know what he did. Let's see what he was doing here. Oh, did the same thing Bottas did. Just lost the rear end slightly on the exit of the penultimate corner. And yep, has done a slower middle sector than he did previously. So that definitely affected his confidence going down into turn 1, 2, and 3. By the way, I've just seen someone saying that Bottas on my running order is still P1. The reason I've still got him P1 is because there are people out there on flying laps and the order is constantly moving around. So I don't want to massively change it, because once I do, then something different happens. So yeah. Gasly though does go up to P6. I will quickly do the top order because the top 5 are now in the pit lane. So I'll quickly do that. Bottas is now P3. Grosjean P4, Magnussen P5. Looking very good for Haas in terms of qualifying speed. Here comes Kimi Räikkönen though. On his first flying lap on soft compound tyres in practice 2. As I'll try if I can to do the rest of the order. Verstappen is 7th. They got Hamilton in 8th. Carlos Sainz is for the moment P9. As Kimi Räikkönen looks to be on a lap that will probably put him in the top 10 if he continues with that type of sector time he just did in the first sector. As Albon now goes up to P10. Let me quickly put that in. P11 is Nico Hülkenberg. I'm going to quickly do it now because most cars are not on track. That's why I'm currently doing the order whilst Kimi Räikkönen is about to go even faster. Let me just see where Kimi Räikkönen goes, as Kvyat now goes up to P11, as Lewis Hamilton is on an outlap. Let's see where Kimi Räikkönen goes. And through the final corner, he will probably go into the top 10 with this. No, he doesn't. He only goes 15th. Very slow lap by Kimi Räikkönen. Very slow lap. Yeah, that's a bit shocking, to be honest. But Kvyat has just gone up to P11. And then you've got Hülkenberg in P12. And then I believe it was Norris 13th. And then Ricciardo is 14th. Kimi Räikkönen 15th. By the way, not only are Alfa Romeo not looking that good, also Racing Point are not looking good at all. They're also very far down. Alfa 15th and 20th. Racing Point 16th and 18th. That is not good enough. I'll quickly finish up this order. So Perez is 16th. Russell is in 17th. Lance Stroll did get out on track. He's 18th. Then you got Kubica and Giovinazzi. So I'll update that again once the order finalizes in the next 5 minutes or so. Here we go. Lewis Hamilton on his first soft tyre run in FP2. Let's see how quick the Mercedes car is. As he now comes through turn 3, the car looks very, very nailed to the track. And now is 2 tenths down after the first sector. But I think the Mercedes car does its work really in the middle and final sector. The Ferrari car, as we know, in the first sector, because it's mostly about on-throttle stuff, it tends to be very quick in that first sector with the better straight line speed that they do have, or better, engine acceleration. Here comes Lewis Hamilton into the middle sector, and yet 0.02 of a second up, proof that the Mercedes car aerodynamically is better than the Ferrari, as he is now into the final sector and comes through that corner. That was just about okay. Final chicane. now into the final corner as Valtteri Bottas is on a bit of a slow lap. Here comes Lewis Hamilton, and he goes fastest by almost 0.2 of a second. So that's a 1:17.4 for Lewis Hamilton. Valtteri Bottas is on a lap, but it's not a very quick one, as he's got traffic ahead, but he can just quickly grab a slipstream from the Alfa Romeo, who I believe is Kimi Raikkonen. Bottas is a 1/10.5 down in the middle sector on Lewis Hamilton, so this lap would put him into second place. And yeah, the Mercedes car and the aerodynamic parts of the track just does look better than the Ferrari. It looks like it's able to turn in tighter. It looks a lot faster on the exit of the corners as well. As he now comes up to the line, and Bottas goes fastest by a 1/10, almost a 1/10.5. So Valtteri Bottas now fastest from Lewis Hamilton second. Ferrari third and fourth, a third of a second down. And here comes Max Verstappen, who goes P5 as expected. So I'll quickly update that for the running order. Oh no, not that. I was going to update the text then. Let me update the running order. So it is Valtteri Bottas who is fastest from Lewis Hamilton second. The gap that you see right now, which is a third of a second from the fastest Ferrari to the fastest Mercedes, that is about the gap that I was expecting for this weekend. So that's about right for what we're expecting. Leclerc is third, Vettel is fourth, and then fifth is Max Verstappen, and then I believe sixth and seventh is Grosjean and Magnussen. It is indeed Grosjean and Magnussen. I wonder if Valtteri Bottas will go for another lap. I don't think he will, because the soft tyres do not last very long around this track. Yep, Grosjean is sixth, and then seventh is K-Mag, and then eighth is Gasly. Pierre Gasly needs to get his act together. Can't be P8. Needs to be P6 really to do, or to, you know, to get the lap time that he really should be getting, or to get the position rather that he should be getting. But let me just quickly post a picture of, I believe, I don't know if it is the fastest Mercedes driver, but it is the fastest car on track. Let me just quickly get it up. Of them swinging down into turn one. You can see swinging down into turn one. Let me just do this a minute so you can see. There you go. They currently do, as expected, have the best car. Mercedes are currently 1 and 2 in FP2 in Catalonia, with Ferrari, as you can see there, third and fourth. Verstappen fifth, as expected. Haas looking very quick. Gasly not so quick. And then Sainz looking good at his home track. So are the two Toro Rossos. The two Renaults not looking good. 12th and 14th. For them, Norris needs to improve. And so do Alfa Romeo and Racing Point. So things are looking interesting. Not particularly at the top, but in the midfield, things are definitely looking interesting and a bit more surprising than maybe we were expecting for this certain Grand Prix. Let me know right now in the chat, guys. Is there anything happening on track that is for you a surprise? Are there certain cars out there that are doing something you didn't think they would be doing, whether they're too slow for what your expectations were, or, you know, too fast? Let me know in the live chat, and I'll read out your comments. Jordi says Mercedes chassis still looks better than Red Bull's chassis. I'm not too sure about that. I want to see, though. I want to see what the lap time difference in qualifying is between Mercedes and Red Bull, because I think if, say, Red Bull are within half a second of pole, then I think Red Bull do have the best chassis, because the Honda power unit is probably half a second down at best on Mercedes and Ferrari. So I'll wait till qualifying to make a judgment on that. As Gasly again getting all kinds of wrong on the exit of the penultimate corner going into the final corner. As Valtteri Bottas touching the outside grass there. That could have been a big accident, but he's coming up to the middle sector. And he is, for the moment, going even faster than he was before. He's almost a 10th up on his lap time so far. And now comes into the heart of the final sector. All bumped across the first part very hard. Valtteri pushing so hard in that Mercedes car. Opens the DRS and does not go faster. He only goes a 10th slower, and that lap that was slower than his quickest lap was still faster than Lewis Hamilton's fastest lap. So Valtteri looking very, very quick. Jordi makes a good point. Mercedes is sandbagging on softs or soft tyres. They usually do that on a Friday. Yeah, this is also, again, bad news for Ferrari because Ferrari tend to be better on a Friday, or at least show more speed on a Friday than Mercedes do. So it definitely does look like a Mercedes pole position and race win for this Grand Prix so far. You have to say, a third of a second clear, that's very, very good to have for them. As Hamilton, I believe, is on... I believe this is an out lap for Lewis Hamilton. I don't think this is a flying lap he's on, or else they'd be showing the timer. Unless this is a flying lap and we're just not seeing the timer, I don't know. But I think he's on an out lap. As also Carlos Sainz is on an out lap. I'll actually quickly update the order because there have been a couple changes to the order. Yeah, Gasly has gone ahead of Kevin Magnussen as Lewis Hamilton. Does improve his lap time, but is still not fastest. That goes to Valtteri Bottas. Gasly is now P7. P8 is Kevin Magnussen. And then Sainz is P9, but Kvyat is in P10, as this is a replay of Kimi Räikkönen at turn 7. Same thing as Romain Grosjean, turned in, car got unstable, and he went off the track. So, yeah, the Alpha not really looking that smart this weekend. That's not what they wanted. They wanted to be back in the hunt for points, and they don't look like they are. But Kvyat is P10, then it's Kimi Räikkönen in P11. Alexander Albon is P12 on an outlap. And then you've got Lance Stroll in 13th position. 14th is Hülkenberg and 15th Ricciardo. Come on, Renault, get your act together. That is not good enough to be 14th and 15th. If they finish there, then yeah, this season is not going to be good at all. Well, if they finish there in practice 2, it's not a disaster. But for qualifying, I'm talking about, it will be a disaster if they end up 14th and 15th at a track where they should be so quick. What's happened to Renault? And then you get Norris in P16, who is also on an outlap. Antonio Giovinazzi has improved to 17th, so Alpha looking better in terms of lap time, but the car at times not looking too smart. And then you've got Perez in 18th, and then Russell and Kubica, as always, at the very back. So that is the current running order running along the bottom of your screen for now is the live order. So it's Bottas who is fastest. I'll let it come round. From Lewis Hamilton second. Charles Leclerc is third. Sebastian Vettel is fourth. Max Verstappen is fifth. Sixth is Romain Grosjean. 7th is Pierre Gasly. 8th is Kevin Magnussen. 9th is Carlos Sainz. 10th is Danny Kvyat. 11th is Kimi Räikkönen. 12th, Alexander Albon. 13th, Lance Stroll. 14th is Hülkenberg. 15th, Ricciardo. Terrible so far for Renault. Norris 16th. Giovinazzi 17th. Perez 18th. And then Russell ahead of Kubica with the two Williamses at the back. And we have about 35 minutes left in practice 2. And now that we have gone, annoyingly, again, to a commercial break from Sky F1, I'm going to quickly take a drink and then we'll get back at it. Right, so, as we're on a commercial break, I'll try to quickly find a different picture for you guys so I can put that on screen. And also, get commenting in the live chat. Put your comments in the live chat as to what's happened so far in Catalonia and what do you think of the current order? Is that what you expect it to be for qualifying? Let me know. Let me know. I'm just trying to find a different picture for you guys because I know you guys want all the pictures possible. Here's a good one of Carlos Sainz at his home track. Let me just put this on screen. As yet, we're about 34 minutes away from the end of practice 2. Here is Carlos Sainz in the McLaren. There you go. Yeah, keep posting your comments in the live chat and I will respond to as many as I can before we get some action again in practice 2. Right, let's see what you guys have to say. Jordi asks, is Ferrari even safe on winning Canada right now? I don't think you can go into any Grand Prix in 2019 expecting Ferrari to win. This season, at best, will be like it was in 2015. When they win a race, it will be when you don't expect them to win. If you know what I mean. Canada should be the next big opportunity for Ferrari to win a race. It should be. But I don't think they will win that race. But in terms of opportunities, the next 2 races, Canada and Austria. If they can't win there, I struggle to see where Ferrari wins a Grand Prix unless they get lucky or have this amazing performance at a certain Grand Prix at a certain weekend. That's the only way I see, that happening. John Hubner says Ferrari will go winless this year. I will say also, I think the chances of Red Bull winning a Grand Prix are higher than Ferrari winning a Grand Prix because when Red Bull get to a track where they should be very, very quick, they will go out there and get that result that they are expected to get unless they have bad reliability. With Ferrari, I can't say the same. How long to go? That's Master Stevo. We have 32.5 minutes to go. Legendary Sniper says rip Ferrari. Steve Google says Renault showing they will not be competitive with the best of the rest. At this rate, they won't because Haas look as though they're about 3/4 of a second faster than Renault. And that is a lot. That's a lot of lap time to be giving up to another team. As Lance Stroll is now doing his, I don't know if it's his first time on soft tyres, but he's doing a lap time on soft tyres. But is on a race simulation. And I believe all the teams will now go onto a race simulation. So, in terms of the lap times, I think that's about it. In terms of anyone going faster, unless Sergio Perez in 18th wants to improve his time. But yeah, I think that's it in terms of qualifying simulations. Now it's coming into the race simulations. I just want to post this picture as well. I think this is the Haas car that I'm about to show. And it's a certain area of the car Haas have been working on. Let me just show what I'm talking about so you guys understand. Here you go. That is the floor, or the barge board area, rather, of the Haas. Have a look at that. Look at the amount of detail that goes into that area. And by the way, A certain somebody doesn't know it yet, but we are going to be doing a tech update for all the teams going into Monaco. We will be doing a tech update video looking at all the teams and all the new parts they have brought, so you guys are up to date as to who has certain parts and who doesn't. So we will be doing that very, very soon, before Monaco, I promise. But yeah, in the live chat, let me know, guys, more of your thoughts of what's happened in practice 2, what you think about the running order, and also, do you think this is, especially at the top, a sign of things to come? Let me know. Tonka Toy Truck says Norris appears to be struggling. Yeah, he does. I can't remember him being that great in F2 here in 2018. So, yeah, it doesn't seem to be that great of a track for him. Steve Google says Haas has had a stumble at the start of the season, but Renault have just not improved. Haas are looking... I don't know if it is the upgrades as to whether Haas are, you know, that quick. I don't know if it's the upgrades that are doing that for them. But this track does tend to be quick for them, and also when it comes to qualifying, you know, speed, Haas tend to be quick. But 3/4 of a second, I know it's only practice, but 3/4 of a second from Haas to Renault, that is not good enough. I don't care what anyone says, that is not good enough. Legendary Sniper says, yeah, FIA said 2019 cars will be 1.5 seconds slower than 2018. What a bunch of liars. They were never telling the truth when it came to that. The teams were always going to make back that performance. Me and Nib were saying it back in October that the cars at the start of 2019 would be on the same pace as 2018, if not faster, and they are way faster. So it's not a surprise at all. Niv saying, well, someone has homework to do. Yep, indeed. Jordi says, rip Ferrari probably, and we aren't even through the nightmare of Singapore yet. Rizar, I think it is, says or asks, could Mercedes win every race this season? They could, but I don't think they will, because there will be a race where something goes wrong, whether it's a reliability issue, the car is not quick at a certain weekend. Mercedes are not going to win every Grand Prix. If they do, then I will say that Mercedes are the greatest team in Formula 1 history. In terms of this current team that's in this current era, they will be the greatest team of people of all time if they do win every Grand Prix in 2019. But I don't think they will. If McLaren with Honda in 1988 couldn't do it, with the pace advantage they had over their rivals, I don't think Mercedes can. Because Mercedes, you have to remember, they're not, you know, 1.5 to 2 seconds a lap faster like McLaren were in 88 or like Williams were in 92. They're only 0.3 of a second faster. That's still gettable for Ferrari pace-wise, and also Red Bull if they can improve. So, no, I don't think they will win every race. I think there will be a race, possibly the next race in Monaco, where Ferrari or Red Bull win. I think in Monaco, Red Bull are going to be very, very strong. Whether they'll win or not, I don't know. I think this Grand Prix will determine whether they can win at Monaco. But yeah, I don't think they will. Mercedes win every race this season. Steve Google asks, is Williams' chassis just trash, or is their budget not allowing better aerodynamic work? Basically, their chassis is bad, but the issue is they then can't go on to improve it because they don't have the money to. So basically, Williams' season lasts only about a month, and that's pre-season testing in the first race. If Williams have a bad car to start off with in testing, their season is over because they don't have the money to improve their car. That's why Williams have to turn up with a very good car compared to the midfield to have a good season, because with the lack of money they do have, they're not going to improve as the season goes on. They're just not going to. So it's a bit of both. The chassis is bad, but also they don't have the money to improve the car. I just want to show as well quickly, because I know you guys are quite interested in, you know, who has the best straight line speed and which power unit is the best. Let me just quickly flash this up on screen of the speed traps in practice 2. If I can find it, give me just a moment and I will. Hold on a minute. Yeah, let me just show this. So here you can see Ferrari dominating the speed traps. As expected, they do have the best power unit in terms of outright power. Norris nicely up there in P3. Maybe that's more set up than the Renault power unit being better. Perez and Stroll looking very quick in a straight line also. So yeah, those are your top 10 for the speed traps so far in the 2019 Spanish Grand Prix weekend. And as expected, Ferrari are dominating the speed traps. So there you go. Let me just remove that and get back to it. There you go. But yeah, we are on. If you're wondering, we are 24 minutes away from the end of practice 2. We're currently into the race simulations. No one's really gone off track or done anything spectacular. If they did, I would tell you. But everyone is on track except for the 2 Red Bull drivers. And as I say that, Pierre Gasly is about to come onto the track. So we'll get him in just a second. Yeah, everyone on their race simulations. And this is important for all the teams because at this track, race pace does tend to be way more important than qualifying pace. Yes, it's hard to pass here, but if you have bad tyre wear, bad race pace, you will not have a good race at this track. So this is a critical part of the weekend for all of these teams to find out how the tyres are working with their car and how long they're lasting, but also how is their car performing with fat fuel and worn tyres. It's a very important part of a weekend, as we're currently looking at the Williams of George Russell on a race sim. I'll get back to the chat in just a moment. I just want to put this picture up of Lewis Hamilton, who is currently second, half a tenth off his teammate Valtteri Bottas. It looks as though Valtteri Bottas has the slight edge over his teammate Lewis Hamilton. Only for now, though, of course. But Bottas has looked very quick this weekend so far. Let me just get this picture on screen as Russell is coming up to turn 7 and turn 8 and into turn 9. The Williams car looks so slow compared to anything else through that corner, especially the Toro Rosso that's following behind it. Here you go. Here's Lewis Hamilton. I want to say also, I think this helmet that Hamilton has, the red, that's one of the best helmet designs he's had in a long time. I love it way more than the white he had in 2014, 15 and 16. I think this looks a lot better than his previous design. Just want to make that comment, even though it's a bit weird, but there you go. Yeah, keep on with your comments, guys, as we're about 22 minutes away from the end of the session. By the way, in regards to the power unit situation at Ferrari, as you may have known, if you don't know, Ferrari have a new upgraded power unit for this Grand Prix that they brought forward. But Haas and Alfa Romeo are not using it. So it's only for the Ferrari Works team. That, again, just smacks of desperation to me, as I've said previously. Dexter Hall, how does a long run pace look for the top 3 teams? This is also another thing I want to rant about. Is this is really the part of the weekend where we're clueless as to what is going on, as we've got a yellow flag in sector 1, someone. But because of the way FOM does their graphics, we don't know who's lapping faster and who isn't. What they should do, honestly, is reset the order to 0 for everyone. You know, get rid of the lap times. And then as they set their race pace times, let it stack up like it was, you know, like it was earlier in practice 2. So annoyingly, I can't tell you because I don't know. We only know about half an hour to an hour after the session finishes once the analysis, I'm trying to say, begins when it comes to that. Right, let me look at some more comments. Legendary Snipers hoping for Bottas to win. Han Solo. Mercedes have not even had their engines turned all the way up during any race this season, in my opinion. Simply because they didn't need to. And it was Danny Kvyat who went off at turn 1. That was what the yellow flag was for. They are that good. Yeah. Mercedes... Yeah, in the races, they haven't really had to turn up the power unit. I think in Australia, they did with Hamilton for a couple laps when Verstappen was putting him under pressure. In Bahrain, I think Mercedes definitely turned their power unit up a few times to get past people, like Hamilton passing Vettel and Bottas passing Verstappen, you know, stuff like that. But in Shanghai and Baku, I agree. They haven't had to turn up the power unit and really push because they are that good. Ferrari, meanwhile, seem to be on the reliability side of things, pushing a bit harder than you maybe should be. Right. Let's read some more comments here. Isn't Silverstone the next real aero test on high speed? That's from Jordi. No, I'd say Canada is. I'd say Canada because the first sector, which is all about aerodynamics and chassis, is very, very fast. So I would say Canada. You can say Monaco, but not all of Monaco is high speed. There's only certain points of the track where it is high speed. Canada is a very high speed track. There's not really a slow part of the track except for the hairpin before the long straight and turn 2. That's really the only slow corners on the track. So I think Canada is the next track for that. Emerald says, looks like it's going to be another Mercedes 1-2. Yep. Unfortunately, in that way that I think you're kind of referencing, yes, it is. It's a replay of Kevin Magnussen doing what Vettel did earlier, going wide on the exit of turn 12, picking up some gravel. Kenneth says, disappointing with Ferrari this season. Very disappointing, especially after testing where Ferrari were apparently looking so good, but also not because of that. But if you think back to Bahrain, after the disaster which was Melbourne, Ferrari responded big time in Bahrain, had the best car by about a quarter of a second. They were so quick, gonna win. And then ever since Charles Leclerc's power unit started to fail and he lost the win, Ferrari have just got worse and worse. So it's really been disappointing from Bahrain on, especially when you consider how quick they were in Bahrain. And they did have the best car. There's no doubt about that. Han Solo says, I thought Grosjean did have an upgrade. Yeah, I did see. I don't know which driver though. I can't remember exactly who, but apparently one of the Haas drivers has an older part or an older setup or something like that compared to the other one, but I don't know which one. But I know that is the case with their drivers. Hello to JB who says, hi Chaz, are you excited for Barcelona? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And if you're a Haas fan, it's looking pretty good. It looks like Haas have, quite clearly at the moment, the best car in the midfield. Jordi says, well, Baku should be counted as a Ferrari disaster after Friday. Yeah, also. But as I've said, since that Leclerc engine issue in Bahrain, things have not got better. Only got worse from then on. As we now have 15.5 minutes left in practice 2. Francisco says Haas has the best car in quali pace. Absolutely, but when it comes to race pace, I wouldn't be surprised if right now they are quite slow compared to other teams like McLaren and Toro Rosso. Sebastian says Ferrari were quicker by 2/10 in the first sector, then lost time everywhere else. They are so bad. Engine upgrade useless. What will it be like when Mercedes bring their engine upgrade to Canada? That's why I started off the stream criticising Ferrari, because again, they have brought an upgrade to their power unit when the next two tracks they don't require good power. They don't. No one out there can tell me that the Circuit de Catalunya and Monaco requires good straight line speed. They don't. They don't. So, for me, them bringing an upgrade to the power unit forward by 2 races is, again, desperation and panic. They're panicking because they're like, oh my god, we haven't won a race this season. We should have won a race by now. Let's just throw as many upgrades forward as we can and absolutely go for it when there's still, 16 races left? Now, Ferrari, I think, are not in contention for the World Championship anymore. I think their contention for the World Championship ended after Baku, but there is still a long way to go. The season ends on December 1st, not October 1st or September 1st, December 1st. We're so long away from the end of the season. We're 7 months away. 7 months away. And they're bringing forward upgrades because they're panicking. That's Ferrari for you. They're disorganised, all over the place, don't know what they're doing, panicking. And that pretty much sums up why Ferrari are not capable of winning a world championship right now. They're not. Let me just see. What other people are saying in the chat. Gina says Bottas looking good, but I still think Hamilton will win. I also think Lewis Hamilton will win this weekend because he will want to be keen to retake the lead of the championship and not be beaten again by Valtteri Bottas. Jordi says Mercedes on race sims are faster than Ferrari in Sector 1. Just looking at the chat to see some more comments here. Nib says it helps because you can then put more downforce on the car without compromising straight line speed. No, I still don't agree. I still don't agree with them doing it. It's desperation and panic. They're in full panic mode back at Maranello. They don't know what to do anymore because I guarantee you, after testing, Ferrari thought they would have won at least one race at worst by now. Probably won 2 races by now, but they've won none, and they've only come close to winning a race once. In the other 3 races, they've been comfortably beaten, and in Australia, they were destroyed. So, yeah, not looking good for Ferrari at all. And I honestly think this season is just going to unravel for them like 2016 did. I think Ferrari are in for a 2016-esque season. Of course, that season, they did not win a race. Now, I'm not eliminating their chances of winning a race this season, but I cannot for the life of me say where Ferrari will win if they do win. I can't say because even at tracks where you think they'll be good, they're not really any better. As we've seen a replay here of Daniel Ricciardo, for some reason, trying to dive down the inside of Pierre Gasly at turn 1 and then locking up his inside right front tyre. The Renault there with straight line speed. I don't know what those two are doing, really. It's practice. I don't know why they're racing unless Ricciardo's just trying to practice what it'd be like to follow another car. Let Let me try though and find a different picture for you guys with now about 10 minutes to go in practice 2, as we're now seeing Charles Leclerc on track. He's on the hard compound tyres, is Leclerc. And then you got the McLaren, Carlos Sainz behind him, and I think it's not Robert Kubica, it's Russell. That's Leclerc. And I say this again, the Ferrari car, aerodynamically, doesn't look bad, but it just isn't as good as their big rivals, Mercedes. But I think we can say, I know someone earlier said Red Bull don't have as good a chassis as Mercedes. I don't quite know about that. I think confirmation of that will be seen in qualifying here. But one thing we can say, I think, is Red Bull do have a better chassis than Ferrari. I don't think that's even a doubt. Aerodynamically and chassis-wise, Red Bull are comfortably ahead of Ferrari, in my opinion. Let me try now and find a different picture as Leclerc continues on his long runs on the hard compound. Let me quickly show the Red Bull of Max Verstappen, who is currently on track as they cut to him now on the soft tyres. I'm going to show a picture of him earlier coming out on hard compound tyres at the start of the session. Let me quickly put it on screen, if I can find it. As he's currently on the team radio, probably giving feedback to his team as to how the tyres are performing. There is Max Verstappen. Let me see what you guys have to say in the chat. Kenneth says Bottas will win this weekend. Francisco says Ferrari might win Monza. They should be very quick there, but again, it's Ferrari. They're probably going to disappoint. And knowing them, they'll let their fans down big time like they did last year. Right, let me find some more here. You guys. Sebastian says the only positive right now is that Leclerc's race pace is pretty good. High 22s on used soft tyres. Well, I can tell you right now he's not on soft tyres, he's on the hard tyres. So maybe that was posted when he was on soft tyres a moment ago. I don't know. But he is currently on the hard compound. As this is Kimi Raikkonen in the Alpha on medium tyres. He's currently P11. That's, of course, qualifying pace that they're referencing there with P11. Dexter Hull, it seems everyone forgot the Mercs brought 2 cars to testing. That speaks volumes on and they have data on 2 different fronts. I think that shows the confidence they have that they can bring a car to the first test that isn't really ready and is a car that's never really going to see the light of day in terms of what was on the car and certain parts, and then go and bring a completely new car to the second test. It shows really the confidence of that team, because I don't think Ferrari would do that if they thought about it. I don't think Ferrari would do such a thing because I don't think they have the confidence to do such a thing. Right, let me find some more comments here. Steve Google says Sky Sports is trash. I agree. I wish it was given to someone who actually will do a better job, because I think Sky has honestly not done a good job. Definitely this season. Imral says Ferrari had the best car but lacked in the engine department to Merc last 2 seasons. I'm going to disagree with that, because 2018 Ferrari did have the better power unit. 2017, I agree, Mercedes were better when it came to that, but in 2018 Ferrari had the better power unit. And goes on to say they have mistaken that they lost because of the engine only, but focused purely on their engine this season, messing up the rest. Again, I disagree. They already had the power unit nailed down. They had to focus more on the aerodynamics, and they've messed up the part of the car they should have been focusing on more. Let me read some more comments. Han Solo. Ferrari needs a circuit that has no corners and just one long straight. Absolutely. I said actually in my video about Ferrari that I uploaded, I think this time last week, about how Ferrari's 2019 has already become a disaster. You guys may have seen it. If you haven't, make sure to check it out after this stream. But I said in that video, Ferrari have basically, with the strengths and weaknesses of their car, have basically become Williams from 2014. Great in a straight line, the best car in a straight line, but when it comes to the aerodynamic and chassis parts of their car, it just isn't good enough to win a race. That's what Williams had in 2014. So Ferrari's car is really comparable to that 2014 Williams, which was a good car, but again, was not good enough to win races because they didn't have the aerodynamic grip. And it's the same with Ferrari. Except Williams were nowhere near as close as Ferrari are to Mercedes. Williams were like 3/4 of a second off at most tracks. Ferrari about 1/4 of a second off. But I'll just quickly, guys, take my final drinks break, as we now have 4.5 minutes to go in practice 2. But make sure in the live chat to keep your comments coming. Right. So what I'm going to do is read out some more comments. And then, once the practice session ends, I'll do a quick review of what's happened and who I think has the pace and who doesn't. Yeah, keep your comments coming, guys, and I'll read them out. Imral goes on to say, again, 2017 was unlucky because reliability. No. Yeah, they did have reliability issues, but I think Vettel's big errors in Baku and Singapore cost them more than the reliability issues. And 2018, he says, it was due to Vettel's errors. Ferrari have forgotten what made them strong before, and Merck seems to understand what made them weak and developed imbalanced. I agree with you when it comes to Mercedes. I think Mercedes now have nailed down the issues they had previously, which were tyre wear, tyre overheating. Those issues they had massively a couple years ago. Now, they're actually better in that area when it comes to Ferrari. So, I agree with you when it comes to Mercedes, but with Ferrari, not so much. Yeah, keep them coming, guys. Francisco asks, do you think Alfa suffers from the same problems as Ferrari, meaning being slow on the slower sectors? Alfa, yes, they do, but the area of their car which is suffering is different from Ferrari's. The Ferrari car is suffering with understeer more so than oversteer. I think Ferrari's issues are more to do with the front of the car. Alfa's is to do with the rear of the car. But definitely, they have the same issues. The car, in the bits of the track where you need good straight line speed, is good. But in the slower aerodynamic parts, the Ferrari and Alfa, compared to its competition, tends to drop back. Let me read some more comments. Zah asks, will Vettel retire after 2019? No, I don't think he will. I think he will leave Ferrari pretty soon, but I don't think he'll retire at the end of this season. Paul Evans asks, what is your prediction for pole? Right now, it would be one of the Mercedes drivers for pole position. I'm going to go for a Mercedes 1-2. I just don't know which driver as of yet. But coming into this weekend, my prediction for pole was Hamilton on pole from Bottas second and Sebastian Vettel in third. That was my prediction a week ago for this Grand Prix. That could happen again, but I don't know as of yet in terms of which driver I'm going to go for. Francisco says, if Kimi somehow gets points this race, I'm going to be very, very happy. If Kimi Raikkonen can finish in the top 9, that would be a great result for Alpha, considering this track should not suit their car compared to other tracks like Baku, Bahrain, those type of circuits, or, you know, Canada coming up. So, yeah, if he can finish in P9 or any better than that, that'd be great for Alpha in their fight for P4 in the Constructors, because I think they will improve Alpha as the season goes on. Ultraman, why Haas and Alpha have not? Why have Haas and Alpha not run the upgraded power unit? Because I think they disagree with Ferrari's decision to bring the upgraded power unit. They also see it as desperation and panic by Ferrari. So they're not going to risk penalties in the midfield where it's so crucial to be towards the front of the midfield. They're not going to risk penalties when they don't need to. And I agree with them. If I was Ferrari, I would not be bringing the power unit upgrade, which was supposed to be coming for Canada. I would not bring it forward at all. I think whoever made that decision is an idiot. But we now have the end of practice 2, as they all now cross the line for their final laps. But the order is, at the end of practice 2 today on this very hot Friday in Barcelona, Valtteri Bottas ends fastest of all from Lewis Hamilton second. Charles Leclerc is third. Fourth is Sebastian Vettel. Fifth is Max Verstappen. Sixth is Romain Grosjean. Seventh is Pierre Gasly. Then eighth is Kevin Magnussen. Ninth is Carlos Sainz. In 10th, Danny Kvyat. 11th, Kimi Raikkonen. 12th, Alexander Albon. 13th is Lance Stroll. 14th is Hulkenberg. 15th, Ricciardo. 16th, Norris. 17th, Giovinazzi. 18th is Perez. And then the two Williamses are at the back. Russell ahead of Kubica. So there you go. That is the results of practice 2. And I'll quickly find a picture to finish this stream on, so I can quickly do a quick review of what's happened and talk about who I think right now looks to have the pace this weekend. So just bear with me a moment and I'll get a picture up, and then we'll quickly talk about who I think has the pace and who does not. So let me just find a picture, if I can, quickly, of the man who was fastest. There you go. I've got one as Ferrari do a practice pit stop with Sebastian Vettel. And I believe Max Verstappen is doing the same. But here you go. Here is your man. Let me just find him a minute. It's always difficult to get these pictures up for you guys. Right, here you go. Here is the man who ends fastest of all, Valtteri Bottas. And you have to say, going into qualifying, they are the favourites. There is no doubt about that. And I think I might as well say now, they will get pole position. They will most likely lock out the front row. Their car is so quick. They are the favourites for pole, without a doubt. Second fastest, I think, is Ferrari. They're not miles off Mercedes, but they are comfortably behind. And if they're going to have a chance of pole, they've got lots of work to do, but I don't think they can get pole, because it's Ferrari, and Ferrari right now is a disaster. Red Bull, I think that's the third fastest car. Looking, I think, good with Max Verstappen, not so good with Pierre Gasly. And if Red Bull for tomorrow can put it on the third row, I think that would be good for them. Now, when it comes to the midfield, the best midfield team looks to be comfortably Haas F1, just like it was 1 year ago for them. So, looking good for Haas, and in qualifying, they should end up locking out the fourth row. When it comes to the race, they're probably going to struggle, but for qualifying, if they can put it on the fourth row, at least they give themselves a good opportunity of getting a points finish from there. Then after that, it's pretty difficult to say. I'd have to say the fifth fastest team to me looks to be Toro Rosso. They look very good. 10th and 12th in practice 2. They were consistently up there during the session. And I think they do have a very quick car. Also, McLaren, they'll be very close when it comes to 5th and 6th in the pecking order in the midfield. I think they can definitely get a car into the top 10 for practice, for qualifying tomorrow, rather. And then after that, you have a few teams which are close together but are struggling. You have Racing Point, who I don't think stand a realistic chance of getting into the top 10 in qualifying. Alfa Romeo looks slightly better than Racing Point, but not that much better. And I think Alfa are going to have a bit of a struggle tomorrow. A great result for them would be top 10 in qualifying, if they can somehow get that. I don't think they will, though. But one team that really looks poor is Renault. Renault are miles off position and pace wise where they should be. They're 3/4 of a second off Haas and about 8 positions behind where they should be. They should be where Haas are in this practice session, but they're not. They're miles off. Very disappointing for Renault, and they have to improve, because if they qualify there tomorrow, 2019 will also, like Ferrari, be a disaster. And then, of course, Williams is at the back. But there you go, guys, for practice 2. Let me just get rid of all of this. I just want to thank you guys as well for coming along for this practice watch along as always. And yeah, there you go. That is the end of this watch along. Just to let you guys know, I will be live twice tomorrow. Once, for the first time I'll be live, is 1 p.m. UK time. That's 1 o'clock p.m. UK time. I'll be live for the qualifying watch along, for obviously qualifying, and then we'll do half an hour of reaction at the end of that stream. And then my review of qualifying will be at 6 p.m. UK time till 7 p.m. UK time. And then on Sunday, I'll be live at 1 p.m. UK time for the race watch along, and then live again at 6 p.m. UK time for the race review. So don't forget to subscribe, hit the notifications bell, and come along to that content this weekend on the channel. You can subscribe either by clicking subscribe on the bottom right of the screen, or go to my homepage, click subscribe, and hit the notifications bell. Also, don't forget to hit this video with a like, and also comment down below what you thought of this video, and comment down below who do you think is going to do well and not so well in qualifying, and what are your predictions for qualifying after practice 2. Also, don't forget to join my Discord server. Discord is the best place for notifications for my videos and streams, and also that is the hardcore Chazza HDF1 community, and we are nearing 200 people on that server. So if you want to make it go up to 200, then make sure to join the Discord. And also follow me on Twitter at Chaz6110, and check out my website chazzahd.com for more content like this. But guys, until 1 p.m. UK time tomorrow for qualifying for the 2019 Spanish Grand Prix, it has been me, Chazza HD. Goodbye.